Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is Terrence Avon with Original Gangster, where we always repping. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of OG Fight Club. And let's talk about WrestleMania 42. We're going to be talking about night one, and then we're going to do another episode for night two. All right. So the show brought the chaos, the violence, the surprises, and one brutal ending with Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. It was crazy, y'all. So let's get into it. So the first match was the Usos and LA Knight versus the Vision and I Show Speed. It was good. I think it was a good way to open up the event. So let's be honest, y'all. So nobody's talking about the result. I don't think anybody cares. What they are talking about is what I Show Speed did, y'all. So he was in great shape. Yeah. I mean, if you don't know who I Show Speed is, y'all, he's an amazing athletic shape, right? So he's a goofy kid that just sits in front of his camera and has millions and millions of followers for just acting crazy on camera, sitting at home. But he's also in amazing athletic shape, y'all. So anyway, he did good. I think he did a good job. But it was the way that the event ended that everybody's talking about. Because what happened at the end of this match is I Show Speed got on top of the ring post. And he was with the Vision, but he ended up jumping off of the top of the ring post, going through the table onto Logan Paul, crashing through the table. It was great. I think he called it like the speed splash or something like that. I don't know. But he jumped off the top of the ring post, y'all, and onto the table. He was in the air, had all kind of hang time, y'all, because like I said, he got some crazy athleticism. But yeah, that it was good. I think the match itself wasn't all that. I mean, it was again, I think it was a good way to start the show, but it wasn't like an amazing match, right? So but it worked. All right. So, but again, the winners of that match was the Usos and LA Knight. And then on the second match, we had Jacob Fatu versus Drew McIntyre. It was a good match. It was a good match. It was a street fight, all gas, no breaks, like Fatu be saying, no mercy. But it was a good match, y'all. So it was like Jim Ross used to say, a slobber knocker. That's what it was, y'all. So wasn't a long, drawn out match, but I think Jacob Fatu had a good entrance. He ended up winning the match because he put Drew McIntyre through the Slim Jim table, the infamous Slim Jim table. Everything now with TKO, they got all this branding, all this partnerships, because it's all about the money. But he put him through the Slim Jim table. After he went through the Slim Jim table himself, because there was one outside the ring that Drew McIntyre pushed him into, and then he hit a flip and went through that. Then Drew McIntyre put him back in the ring, and then Jacob Fatu, he turned the tables on Drew McIntyre, no pun intended, but he turned the tables on him, hit him upside the head with a toolbox, put him on a Slim Jim table, then hit that double moonsault he does, and then you know went through Jacob Fatu went through Drew McIntyre, put him through the table, so he ended up winning that match. It was good. It was good. And then the next match, it was a women's tag team. It was like four, four teams, four different tag teams. Nikki Bella was hurt, so she was not cleared to wrestle. So she had a substitute, and the substitute was none other than Paige. And I don't think this was a major surprise to a lot of people because there were rumor mills going around that Paige was going to be coming back. There were signs in the crowd, people holding up signs saying like, welcome back Paige or we want Paige or whatever, right? People were chanting it throughout the night. So again, it wasn't a huge surprise to most people. So, but she returned, and then they ended up winning a gold. Her and Bree, she partnered with Bree, took the place of Nikki Bella. They ended up winning a gold. So I know some people feel some kind of way about that. But when she made her debut long time ago, I believe she won a title on her first night when she debuted into the company, right? First night on TV. She won a title. So the women's title back then. Well, her first night returning after being MIA for 8 years from WWE because she was wrestling on other organizations, AEW. She was wrestling for them. So, but she hasn't been in a WWE ring for 8 years. And her first night, she come back. She partners with Brie Bella. She gets the belt. So I'm gonna tell y'all what I think is gonna happen. What I think is gonna happen is y'all already know Nikki, you can't trust Nikki. So what I think is gonna happen is Nikki's gonna be jealous that Paige got that belt, and Nikki is gonna feel like Paige should give her the belt. So this is what I foresee happening, right? So I think that Nikki is gonna be jealous. she gonna tell Paige she need to get that belt back. Of course, Paige ain't gonna give it back because Paige's like, "Hey, I earned this title. You know what I'm saying? With your sister, I earned this title." So that's gonna cause some friction. Then they gonna have some beef, and then I think that's gonna be a storyline right there, right? So we'll see. We'll see. All right. So the next match was Becky Lynch against AJ Lee. So this was it was a decent match. I mean, it was like what their third or fourth time, their third or fourth match, right? So it didn't feel like a WrestleMania match. It wasn't giving WrestleMania vibes. It was just like to me just another Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, whatever. So it was nothing special. But Becky ended up winning the match because she cheated, but she took the cover the she took the cover off the ring post, the pad off the ring post and then exposed it. So exposed the metal. She got into it with the referee. She tried to use the referee as a human shield. AJ Lee, she held back. And then as soon as the referee turned her back, Becky Lynch saw that AJ Lee was or the referee was distracted and AJ Lee was distracted, but the referee wasn't paying attention, had her back turned. So then she slammed her head into the exposed ring post and then that's how she won. So yeah. So again, nothing to write home about. It was just like a pretty basic match. At the end of the match, though, I think the biggest takeaway for me was that AJ Lee was talking like she might be leaving. She said something to the effect of like she didn't get to say goodbye last time. So I don't know. It sounds to me like she might be on her way out. But I'm gonna be honest, y'all. Her return hasn't really been that great anyway. But what do y'all think? What do y'all think? Let me know in the comments what y'all think. I don't think her return has been that great. It's been like meh. It was cool when she first came back, the night she came back. But ever since then, it's been like downhill. Pretty boring, if you ask me. So, which I hate that because I think AJ Lee is dope, but I don't know. It just hasn't been really entertaining since she returned. So maybe she kind of see the writing on the wall and she's like, okay, deuces, and then she's gonna go ahead and ride off into the sunset for a final time. But we'll see. All right. So the next match was Gunther versus Seth Rollins, y'all. So I think this was a pretty good match. Both of these athletes are just like they put on a great show. They do. They're great performers. So I was not surprised to see that they put on a good show, even though the build up was kind of lame, out of nowhere, from left field. A lot of people complained about that, but it was still a good match, y'all. So again, when these two, they always put on a good show, no matter who they wrestle. They always put on a good show. So them two coming together, it was bound to be great. So they didn't disappoint. But the spear from Braun Breaker, though, y'all. So Braun Breaker came back. If you were not aware, if you didn't know that, Braun Breaker came back. I was not surprised about that, but he came back and interfered, caused Seth Rollins to be distracted, whatever. And then Gunther won the match. And then at the end of the match, Braun Breaker went to the top of the ramp, and I heard it was like 75 yards or something like that. And so he saw Seth Rollins after he hit him with a spear, after he lost, whatever. He saw him outside the ring, and then he decided to run all the way down that ramp, y'all, like 75 yards, all the way down that ramp, damn near full speed. And then he hit Seth Rollins with a spear. So yeah, it was crazy. It was a crazy spear. So yeah, good. It's good to have Braun Breaker back. He's a great. I love his character, love his energy. So this should be good. This should be good. So I expect something to come of this. Come of this. Maybe we'll see a match between Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker at Backlash. I don't know, but that would make sense. All right. So moving on to the main event. The main event, y'all. So Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. So let's talk about this match, y'all. So it could have stole the show. I think it was a pretty good match. Most people, well, I ain't gonna say most people, but I saw a lot of people, sharing that they didn't enjoy it. They didn't think it was a good match, whatever. So it was a lot of back and forth, some high level storytelling. RKO or Randy Orton, RKO everybody. He RKO'd everybody. So he got Cody, he got the ref, he got even Pat McAfee. So yeah, he RKO'd everybody. So he caught Cody in midair when Cody was trying to do his Cody cutter off the top rope, and Randy Orton caught him out of midair. So that was awesome. But in the end, Cody got the win. Orton didn't get his, I think his 15th title, I think is what he was going after. but I think he'll get it eventually. I think he'll get it before he retires. We might see another match between them in Backlash, if not at Backlash, maybe SummerSlam. I don't know. But at the end, Randy Orton ended up punting Cody Rhodes. And I know we haven't seen that in a while. And I think him doing that was really just a way to let us know that, like, okay, the Viper's really bad. Like he's really back. So Cody had a swollen eye, probably concussed, so he might be out of action for a little while. But it was brutal, y'all. It was a brutal ending, a lot of blood. I thought it was a good match. I thought it was some good storytelling. The build-up was trash. Everybody know that. The build-up was trash, but I think what they're doing now is they're really leaning into Randy Orton being a Viper, and then maybe this is how you're gonna go out. Maybe he's on his way out. He's just gonna be a Viper, be an asshole for the rest of the time, that he's wrestling. So but I really do foresee him getting that title at least one more time before he retires, for real. So we'll see. But anyway, so overall, night one delivered. I think it delivered on a spectacle, a shock, and then of course it was some violence. But who do y'all think had the best interest of the night? For me, it was a toss up between Jacob Fatu and Cody Rhodes. The reason why I say Jacob Fatu, he had he really paid homage to his his lineage and his family and his culture. I thought that was really cool. And then, I'm partial because I lived in Hawaii. I spent some time there, you know, getting to know, learn the culture, the Polynesian culture and things like that, being immersed in that, participating in some events and different things like that. So I just thought that was really cool. But Cody Rhodes' interest was super dope. Like, he had they show like all the history of Cody Rhodes from the very beginning when he signed with WWE, the tights he wore on his first match, even showing that period of time he went when he was a villain and he wore the face mask because he had broke his nose or something. They even show him his Stardust outfit, his Stardust tights, which is a moment in time that I'm sure he, would is probably not the happiest about, right? So, because that was his last gimmick before he left WWE. But then he came out of the ground with a big skull mask on. So it was epic. He had an epic entrance, and he was the final entrance of the evening because it was the main event. He's the one holding the title, so he had the honor of being, the final entrance of the night. And so I think he did. I think that was dope. His was dope. So I guess I'm gonna have to give it to Cody, y'all. I said it was a toss up between Cody and Jacob for night one. Um, Seth Rollins had a pretty good entrance as well, um, but yeah. So I said it was a toss up between Jacob, Fatu, and Cody, but I'm gonna have to go ahead and give it to my boy Cody. But anyway, all right, y'all. And then what was your biggest surprise? I want to know what your biggest surprise was of night one. So please put that in the comments. For me, my biggest surprise, man, what would I say my biggest surprise? I don't know. I said that I wasn't so surprised by Braun Breaker. I wasn't surprised like I expected him to come back, but I would say it was the best surprise. I would say that as far as like, because it was meant to be a surprise, right? It wasn't really a surprise to me, but it was meant to be a surprise, right? So I would have to say that was the best surprise for me. So, but what do y'all think about night one? Do you think it lived up to the hype? Let me know how you feel in the comments, y'all. And then we will be dropping what we thought about night two really, really soon, y'all.